Hello, this is chapter 2 of Pal Chang's Word Magic, which is a book that I read about a year and a half ago, and it just completely changed the way that I look at the language. It's a very good book, hence why I've decided to read it here. I was considering doing this on Patreon only, but I may make this particular book available on YouTube as well, just because it is good, but most of my lengthy content, or at least more controversial content, does go on Patreon. So for $5 a month, you can get access to that. I hate to do it, but it is a way to keep out those uninterested and build a community of like-minded people. And it's also a way that you can interact where the public will not see your comments. A lot of times people get they're a little shy to leave a comment because, you never know who's going to come across it. But the good thing about Patreon is that it's all private. So I like that as well. But anyhow, here's enough about that. So this is chapter 2. Word Magic is the title of the book. And this chapter is Word Magic, the Birthing Process, and Commerce. To know how word magic is used to enslave your body, mind, and soul, you need to know how words are used in the birthing process and commerce. In order for the dark forces and the dark magicians to effectively enslave you at the physical and spiritual level, they need to trick you to agree to play the vampiric game called commerce. The best time to trick you to play this vampiric game is the day when your mother gave birth to you. The words that are used for describing the birthing process are strongly related to commerce. For this reason, you need to know some information about merchants and the sea business, or you will have a hard time seeing the connection between the birthing process and commerce. If you have studied the information in my second seminar, which you should have a little problem understanding the birthing process and commerce. The PDF file for this seminar is free to download. Before there were airplanes, automobiles, and trains, when people wanted to send products to people in other countries, they would often send them on a ship. Using ships to send goods to other countries became so important that many laws were created to protect merchants and their products. The two laws that dominated the sea business were Admiralty Law, the law of the sea, and Maritime Law, law merchant. Both of these laws originally heard cases involving commerce on the high seas. Eventually, they spread beyond the high seas and are now used in most court systems throughout the world. Today, nearly every courthouse in the United States of America, Canada, the United Kingdom, and certain Western and Eastern countries operate under Admiralty and Maritime Law. When countries operate under Admiralty and Maritime laws, it means that their courts are under the jurisdiction of military law and commercial law, and therefore, when people go to court, they are treated as properties and war criminals. This is why when people mention their common law or constitutional rights in Admiralty or Maritime courts, i.e. the U.S. courts, the judge may tell them to sit down and shut up. There is basically no justice in a court that operates under Admiralty or Maritime law. Let us turn our attention back to the ships and merchants, so that I can explain to you how word magic is used to enslave your body, mind, and soul. When a ship reaches its destination, the captain orders his crew to prepare the ship to be docked. After the ship docks, the crew can start to unload the cargoes and products off the ship. A ship is also a vessel. So after a ship docks onto a shore, it is considered a berthed vessel. The word berthed is phonetically similar to the word birth. These two words are spelled differently, but they sound very similar. This is one of the ways that word magic is used to deceive you. Before the crew can unload all the cargoes and products off the ship berthed vessel onto the dock, they have to first show a certificate of manifest to the dock operator or whomever is in charge of the dock. A certificate of manifest is a record that has information about the products, the registration number, the country of origin, manufacturer, etc. And the certificate of manifest is basically your birth certificate. On your birth certificate, there is a registration number, country of origin, and manufacturer. Metaphorically speaking, the manufacturers that created you, the product, are your parents. The process of using ships to deliver products is where the word shipping comes from. Did you notice that the word shipping has the word ship in it? Another word that has the word ship in it is citizenship. When you split the word citizenship into two words, it transforms the words It transforms into the words citizenship, meaning citizen of a ship. A citizen of a ship means that you are under the jurisdiction of Admiralty Law and Maritime Law. These two laws are not common laws or constitutional laws. Instead, they are commercial laws. When a ship is in the process of being docked, it is being guided to come to berth. The word berth is defined as a space for a vessel to dock or anchor. Based on this information, when a product is unloaded onto the dock, it just went through the berthing process, which is the process of delivering the product from the vessel ship onto the dock. Phonetically, the word berth sounds like the word birth. This is why when a woman is in the process of giving birth, she is said to be delivering a baby. The birthing process of a baby is related to the process of delivering a product on a ship. Every woman has a body. Another word for body is vessel. A vessel can also be called a ship. The words body, vessel, and ship can all mean the same thing and be used to represent a woman's body. This is why a ship is often referred to as she, and the main ship is often called the mothership. To connect the dots, the process of a woman giving birth can also be defined as the process of delivering or birthing a product of a ship. Metaphorically speaking, the product is the baby and the ship is the woman's body. When you compare all the information that you just read about commerce and the sea business to the process of birthing a baby, you will see a strong connection between the birthing process of a ship and the birthing process of a baby. By spelling the words birth and birth slightly different and making them sound almost the same, the dark forces and their minions, the dark magicians, can trick you to agree to be the product of a ship so that they can have jurisdiction over you. They know that they cannot have jurisdiction over the real you, the living, breathing man or woman made of flesh and blood, which is why they need you to consent to be an artificial person so that they can treat you like a product and make money by selling you on the stock market. When you were in your mother's womb, you were surrounded by amniotic fluid, which was made mostly of water. In other words, you were living in a sea of water. Because you were living in water, according to Admiralty Law, the law of the sea, you could be ruled under this law. Admiralty Law is also known as the law of money. What is another word for money? Currency. Phonetically, the word currency sounds similar to the term currency. Hence, the law known as the law of the sea or Admiralty Law. While living in your mother's womb, the thing that connected you to your mother was the umbilical cord, which was connected to your navel. Metaphorically speaking, when you were connected to the mothership, the word umbilical is derived from the medieval Latin word umbilicalis, meaning of the navel. The word naval sounds similar to the word navy. The navy is the military of the sea. They did not name that area of your body the navel by accident. By now you should start to see how all these words are somehow directly or indirectly related to the sea. A very important piece of information you need to know about the word sea is that it has a strong connection to the word energy. By the end of chapter 5, you will know why these words are connected. The evidence that babies are battery prisoners. On average, a fetus lives in the womb of its mother for a little more than 9 months before the fetus is ready to be born. When you were a fetus, you were living in water, amniotic fluid. Shortly after 9 months, you were born from your mother's body, vessel, or ship through her birth canal. The phrase birth canal sounds very similar to the phrase birth canal. A canal is an artificial waterway that is used by the captain of a ship or boat to birth his vessel, hence the phrase birth canal. When you were born in a hospital, you had to travel through your mother's birth canal. After you came out of your mother's birth canal, you were grabbed by the doctor. The word doctor is pronounced similar to dock or. The word dock is defined as a platform extending from a shore over water, used to secure, protect, and provide access to a boat or ship. As for the word ore, it is defined as a metal-bearing mineral or rock or a native metal that can be mined at a profit. The word ore also sounds similar to the word oar, which is a long shaft with a broad blade at one end used as a lever for rowing or otherwise propelling or steering a boat. What you need to know about these words is that they all somehow, indirectly or directly, relate to a ship, the sea, and the process of giving birth. Another word you should know its deeper meaning to is hospital. One of the origins of the word hospital is the Old French word hospital, meaning hostel, shelter, lodging. In English, the word hostel sounds almost exactly like the word hostile. The word hostile means not friendly, warm, or generous, not hospitable. A hospital is not a friendly place to give birth to a baby because the hidden role of the doctor or the doctor is to deliver the baby and turn the baby into a product of a ship or vessel to be sold in commerce using the birth certificate as the certificate of manifest. The birth certificate becomes a valid certificate after the parents and the doctor or doctor sign their signatures on it. Once the birth certificate is signed by all the parties, the information on it becomes a fact. This certificate is actually a birth certificate of a ship, also known as a certificate of manifest. In other words, shortly after you were born, both of your parents unknowingly agreed to turn you into a product of a ship. Have you ever wondered why newborn babies are kept in the maternity ward? The reason why they are kept in the maternity ward is because their parents have signed their natural rights away to the state, and therefore they have become products and prisoners of a ship. A ward is defined as a section in a prison. In prison, wards are used for caging prisoners. They are also known as prison cells. Why the word cells? Because prisoners are being used as batteries. The word cell is defined as a device that generates electrical energy from the chemical energy, usually consisting of two different conducting substances placed in an electrolyte. Hi, babe. Go on. Okay. To connect the dots, babies are put in maternity wards to prepare them to become human batteries. Prisoners are caged in prison cells for the same reason. By the end of this book, you will know exactly what I mean when I say that humans are being used as batteries. Another thing you should know about the word hospital is that it has a strong connection to the secret society called the Knights Hospitallers, which is one of the factions of the Knights Templar, the private army for the Vatican. One of the symbols of the Knights Templar is the Red Cross. The Red Cross symbol can be found on the flag of the United Kingdom and inside of hospitals. The organizations called the American Red Cross, the British Red Cross, and the International Committee of the Red Cross also use this same symbol. All secret societies have symbols that they use to communicate. They operate somewhat like street gangs, but are much more organized and powerful. Like street gangs, secret societies like to mark their territories with signs and symbols to let certain people know that they own those properties or territories. But unlike street gangs that only control a few blocks or a small town, secret societies control countries. All the Red Cross organizations are controlled by the Knights Templar. The United Kingdom is controlled by them too. Be aware that not every member of a secret society is a control addict. Furthermore, some secret societies do not support the enslavement of humanity. Let us turn our attention back to the word doctor or doc-or. By now, you should know that the hidden role of the doctor or doc-or is to deliver the baby and turn the baby into a product of a ship or vessel to be sold in commerce using the birth certificate as the certificate of manifest. Metaphorically speaking, the word or in the word doctor or doc-or is you, the baby. You represent the or because you are the battery that is being used as energy to power the matrix of the dark forces. So when you were delivered from the body, vessel, or ship onto the dock, you, the or, was delivered and put onto the dock. Hence why the word doctor, doc-or. This is why the person who delivers babies in a hospital is called a doctor. The doctor's dock role is to deliver the baby or dock the oar onto the shore so that the baby can be sold and used as energy. The word or also sounds familiar to the first syllable of the word aura. Aura is an energy field that is part of the bioelectromagnetic field of a human being. When you split the word aura into two words, you get the term AU and Ra. The word AU originated from the Latin word aurum, meaning gold. This is why in chemistry, the symbol for gold is AU. The word Ra is the name of an ancient god called Ra, pronounced Re. In Egyptian mythology, Re was the sun god that was often shown as a hawk. When you put the words sun and Re together, you get the word sun ray, or sun ray, which is connected to the sun god Re. Every ship or body ship is brought into port and docked so that the doctor can deliver the body ship, because it is a new liver being produced or a new baby being delivered by the doctor as a docked ore. That ore is now docked and ready to be sold and used as energy. The dark forces view each of us like an ore because we are the ores that are being mined for gold, AU, through the process of mind control. The word mind sounds almost the same as the word mind, giving us a clue as to why the Anunnaki came to Earth. One of the main reasons why they came to Earth was not to mine for gold, but to mine for the gold in our minds. Because to control our minds is to control the golden blood plasma in our bodies and the golden energy in our auras, which then can be used to extend their lifespans or charge their sun god, Re, hence the word aura. In Greek mythology, the golden blood plasma was called ichor, a gold-colored fluid believed to be found in the blood of alien gods that allowed them to live for thousands of years. It is my understanding that this golden blood plasma is found in very small amounts in the human body. However, during an ascension cycle, the human body can produce more of it. Certain spiritual teachers believe that the special element that gives golden blood plasma its longevity properties is organic monoatomic gold, also known as organic white powder gold. Organic monoatomic gold can only be created by our bodies and nature. It's not the same as the synthetic monoatomic gold that is being sold as a dietary supplement. By now, you should start to have the basic understanding of what the dark forces are doing to the human race. This evil agenda to enslave the human race and use human beings as batteries is what I like to refer to as the Earth Matrix drama. It is essential for you to know that at the deepest level, the Earth Matrix drama is a spiritual drama for your soul and energy, so you better start paying attention. By the end of Chapter 5, you will know why the dark forces need to feed on the energy of humanity to survive. Let us turn our attention back to the birthing process so I can teach you how the dark forces are using the birth certificate contract to enslave your soul and body. In the United States, shortly after you were born, a record was created with certain personal information about you written on it. This record is known as your Certificate of Live Birth, which is not the same as your birth certificate. Be aware that when I say your birth certificate, I do not mean that you legally own it. In fact, your birth certificate is actually legally owned by the state. Shortly after your parents signed your certificate of live birth, the certificate was sent to the U.S. government. After the U.S. government registered it and finished doing whatever they needed to do to your certificate of live birth, they sent you a new version of your certificate of live birth, which is known as your birth certificate. Your new birth certificate is not the original certificate of live birth because it is actually a death certificate. The term birth certificate sounds similar to the term birth certificate. This was deliberately done to trick you to using the art of homophone and phonics. The word phonics means a method of teaching reading and spelling based upon the phonetic interpretation of ordinary spelling. Phonetically, there is almost no difference between the terms birth certificate and birth certificate because they sound nearly identical. So the same oral spell, essentially. When the U.S. government created your birth certificate, their intention was to trick your parents to sign your natural rights away and to turn you into a product of a ship or vessel to be sold in commerce. Therefore, a birth or birth certificate is the certificate of manifest for a product birthed from a ship. When the U.S. government sent your birth certificate to your parents, what they were really doing was informing your parents that you are now a registered product of the U.S. Incorporated. This is why they trade your birth certificate on the stock market. And they do, and I'll give you a website in the discussion. Let's see. Have you ever wondered why they like to use the word parents to describe your mother and father? The word parents sounds similar to the words pair rents, which means the pair that rents. When your parents, or parents, signed your birth or birth certificate, they unknowingly agreed to allow the U.S. government to legally own you and make you a product of the United States Incorporated. What this means is that your body and everything you buy or produce using the name on your birth certificate is legally the property of the U.S. government. However, your parents are allowed to keep or rent you as long as they pay taxes and take decent care of the new product, baby, or you. The name on your birth certificate is a legal name, and therefore it represents an artificial person that only exists on paper. In other words, it is the name of a dead thing. This legal name is often written in all capital letters and is not the name given to you by your parents. Instead, it is a counterfeit name created by the government to trick you to do business with its agencies. To be more specific, your real name is a genuine appellation. Only things have names. Furthermore, living and breathing people have autographs, not signatures. A signature is used by a corporate officer to do business with a corporation. Because your birth certificate is marked with a legal name, it is a certificate that represents the birth of a dead thing, and therefore it is a death certificate. The legal name is sometimes referred to as the straw man. This is what the lawyers, bankers, and politicians have used to enslave you. It is a crime known as personage. By arbitrarily creating an estate trust named after you and claiming to own this thing they created, they have falsely claimed to own you and your assets and to literally buy and sell you on stock exchanges, ship you out of ports, and tax you for doing things you've never done. After all, there is no law against enslaving an estate trust, is there? Or arresting a slave, or charging a tax on importing revenue to Puerto Rico. Because your birth certificate has a counterfeit name and does not come with full disclosure, it is a fraudulent contract. There is no statute of limitation for fraud, and fraud vitiates all contracts linked to that fraud. Even though your birth certificate is a fraudulent contract, proving this fraud in court is not easy. One of the best solutions for freeing your soul and body from the birth certificate is to remove false presumptions made by the government. Two great websites that teach you how to remove false presumptions are privatus.me and understandcontractlawandyouvin.com. Another great website is esotericknowledge.me, a private space for living men and women to learn about word magic. I might look at that site. Natural law, legalese, freedom, sovereignty, and genuine spirituality and esoteric knowledge. If you have studied my second seminar on natural law, you should know that when the U.S. government refers to the United States of America, or 50 states, most of the time they are talking about the corporation called the United States, Inc., or the United States of America Minor. Nearly 99% of the time, the U.S. government writes the legal name, United States, in all capital letters, and nearly 100% of the time they write it without the Inc. so that they can trick you to agree to be an employee of the United States, Inc. As for the name of the actual country, landmass, it is legally called the Continental United States or the United States of America Major. In legalese, the United States is not the same country known as the Continental United States. Knowing this fact is very essential for understanding the fraud of the legal system and how the British monarchy and the New World Order had successfully enslaved the American people without their knowledge. The United States, Inc., also doing business as the United States of America, Inc., is actually a foreign corporation that resides in Washington, D.C., which is also a foreign corporation. Why do you think the United States has a president and a vice president? Corporate law requires a corporation, such as the United States, to have a president and a vice president. It's right in your face, hidden in plain sight. The acronym DC stands for the District of Columbia, which is a 10-mile radius district. This district houses the United States, Inc. So when the U.S. government talks about the United States, they refer to a corporation located in the District of Columbia, a foreign district that does not really have anything to do with American state citizens. In other words, they are not really talking about the country. Be aware that United States citizens are not the same as American state citizens or American nationals. Washington, D.C. is a foreign district for the reason that it is not part of the continental United States, the landmass, just like Vatican City is not part of Italy. According to the book titled Matrix of Power, Secrets of World Control, Washington, D.C., or the District of Columbia, was founded by a powerful Masonic secret society called the Columbians, hence the name District of Columbia. The Columbians also founded Columbia Broadcasting System, CBS, Columbia Pictures, and Columbia University. Did you notice how similar the words Columbians and Columbia are? An important fact you should know about the Columbia University is that it is located in New York, a state founded by the York Rite, which is also another powerful Masonic secret society. This is why it is called New York, which means the new state of the York Rite. Are you starting to see how words deceive you? Because you now know that there are two main versions of the United States of America, and that the corporate version is the one the U.S. government likes to use the most, let's dig deeper into the birthing process so that you can learn how the dark forces and their minions apply wordplay and word magic to trick you to temporarily give up your natural rights. Before the invention of computers, when babies were born, hospitals pushed their birth information on the newspaper. Nowadays, because of computers, the internet, and certain laws, hospitals rarely publish birth information in the newspaper. Instead, birth information is sent to the government, and then they publish it on certain government-sponsored websites. Some examples of these websites are vital records websites. In the United States, shortly after a baby is born, the doctor extracts blood from the bottom of the baby's foot. This process is sometimes called the heel stick test. It's the PKU test that does test for phenylketonuria, but it also has an ulterior motive. You can refuse it. And I have verified there is a database. The bottom of the foot is known as the sole of the foot. Keep in mind that the word sole sounds very similar to the word soul. Most doctors do not know the real reason behind this procedure, so if your parents ask them why they do this, they will most likely tell your parents that they extract your blood to test it for genetic conditions and diseases. Besides extracting your blood, they also take tissue samples and blood from your mother's placenta. The purpose of taking your blood is to extract your DNA from it. Shortly after extracting the blood from the sole of your foot, the blood is sent to the government so that its agents can sequence your DNA to determine your genetic blueprint. Your genetic blueprint is like your fingerprint because no one else has that same genetic blueprint. Because of this, your DNA is the physical proof of evidence that the government can use to identify you. Shortly after the government is done sequencing your DNA and creating your personal file, they publish your birth information on some of the websites that they sponsor. What they're basically doing is telling the public that they found parts of you and someone needs to claim them. It is like a lost and found service. If no one claims them after a certain amount of time, usually 7 years, the government has the legal right to pronounce you as legally dead. The problem with this process is that the government did not tell your parents that they need to claim those parts of you, and therefore the government is basically committing fraud. Fraud vitiates everything. But does the government really care about that? Not really, for the reason that they make millions of dollars off of you from this fraud. Be aware that when the government announces you as being legally dead, it does not always mean that you, the living human being, are dead. In the legal system, you can be alive and still be named legally dead. Being legally dead means that your fictional character, your legal name, is dead. The legal system operates in a jurisdiction that deals with fictional things. This is why the laws of the legal system are called acts and statutes, just like the acts and statutes in a play. Because of this, nearly everything it does is unlawful. And after reading this book, you will know why the legal system is a big fat fraud. Under Admiralty Law, if you're missing for 7 years, you can be declared legally dead. This is why people lost at sea are declared legally dead after 7 years. In the United States, the political and court system mostly operate under Admiralty and maritime laws. Both of these laws deal with commerce on the sea. To connect the dots, when the government announces you as being legally dead, what they are really saying is that you were dead at sea. They say this because you were made mostly of water and you were born from a sack of water, the amniotic sac. Because you are legally dead and the government owns your legal name, the government can legally claim your estate. This process is similar to when people die and their estates are transferred to the people listed on their wills. This is why the government can legally seize your properties and children when you violate their acts and statutes. However, if you rebut their presumptions and let them know that you are not dead, it makes it much harder for the government to confiscate your properties. When you send a letter to the government and let them know that you are not dead at sea, but you are alive and well, you are correcting your status and removing yourself from their jurisdiction, which is an imaginary territory that operates in a dead fictional world. After you correct your status, the government now has to acknowledge you as a living man instead of a dead person or legal person. Be aware that when I use the word man in this book, Most of the time, I am talking about both genders, male and female. A dead person, also known as a legal person or legal fiction, has no natural rights, only privileges. An example of a legal person, legal fiction, is a United States citizen. Because the United States citizens are legal persons with only privileges, according to the legal system, they have no natural rights. This is why when you, a United States citizen, go to court and shout out to the judge about your natural rights or constitutional rights, the judge will look at you like a fool and may tell you to sit down and shut up. Because the legal person, the U.S. citizen, the legal name, and the corporation is a dead thing, the government has jurisdiction over it. On the other hand, the living, breathing man is not dead and therefore has natural rights, which are unalienable rights given inherently to the living man by the Supreme Creator. The word unalienable means incapable of being aliened, that is, sold and transferred. In other words, your natural rights are superior to all laws made by the government and cannot be sold. Therefore, the word government does not have jurisdiction over you, the living man. If you did not skip any chapters of this book, by now you should have seen the word government a dozen times. The word government will be used many more times in this book, so it would be wise for you to know the deeper meaning of this word. The common and overt definition of the word government is the form or system of rule by which a state community is governed. Here is one of the legal definitions of the word government. The system of polity in a state that form of fundamental rules and principles by which a nation or state is governed, or by which individual members of a body politicare to regulate their social actions, a constitution, either written or unwritten, by which the rights and duties of citizens and public officers are prescribed and defined, as a monarchical government, a republican government, etc. The word government originated from the Old French word gouvernement, meaning control, direction, administration. To find the occult definitions of the word government, you need to split it into two words, transforming the word government into govern and mint. One of the origins of the word govern is the Latin word gubernere, which translates in English as to direct, rule, guide, or govern. The suffix mint has a few different origins, and one of them comes from the Latin word mint, meaning mine. And I think it's mentis is the Latin word, actually. But based on the occult definitions in the previous paragraph, the word government means to rule the mind or to govern the mind. Throughout history, governments throughout the world have always used mind control techniques, such as subliminal messaging and propaganda, to condition us on how to think. The purpose of this is to control how we think so that they can rule our minds. One of the most popular and effective mind control techniques that the government likes to use to rule our minds is mnemonic. The adjective definition of the word mnemonic is assisting or intended to assist the memory. As for the noun definition, mnemonic means something intended to assist the memory as a verse or formula. The word mnemonic originated from the Greek word mnemonikos, meaning of or pertaining to memory. Based on these definitions, mnemonic is something that affects the memory. Mnemonic is used in many different media, such as video games, TV commercials, cell phone apps, computers, and movies. The techniques used in mnemonic can be used for good or evil purposes. The problem is that most mnemonics of today are used to program our minds in negative ways and control how we think. One of the most popular technologies used for broadcasting mnemonics is television, a popular medium used by the dark magicians to cast spells on viewers. Have you ever wondered why TV shows are sometimes called TV programs? They are called TV programs because they are being used to program your mind with mnemonics and subliminal messages. They did not call them TV programs for no reason. Mnemonics are effective for manipulating your mind because they utilize sigils, sacred geometry, sound, and light to create magic effects to control your thought patterns. Because of their effectiveness, many corporations are replacing conventional subliminal messages with mnemonics in their advertising campaigns. A very important piece of information you need to know about the government is that it is a corporation. According to Black's Law Dictionary, 6th edition, a corporation is an artificial person. Because the government is a corporation, it is a fictitious entity that has no natural rights and powers. Its main source of power comes from feeding on the energy of the people. Because the government needs the people's energy to have power, it has no power without the support of the people. Sadly, most people have been brainwashed to think that the government has power over them. When the government becomes tyrannical, all we need to do is remove our support and it will collapse on its own. This is how we can stop tyrannical governments without violent revolutions. Another misconception most of us have about the government is the idea that the agents of the government have authority over us. Remember, the main source of power for the government is the energy of the people. Without us, the government has no real power, and therefore its agents also have no authority to tell us what to do. One of the groups that is part of the government is the police force. The government agents that make up the police force are sometimes called cops. Today, cops are not really here to protect and serve the people. Instead, they exist for the main purpose of serving and protecting the dark magicians and their minions. The dark magicians often think of cops as the lowest pawns in the government. The word cop is derived from the Latin word capere, which means to take. Some etymologists believe it originated from the Middle French word caper, meaning seize or to take. As a noun, dictionary.com defines the word cop as a police officer or a person who seeks to regulate a specified behavior, activity, practice, etc. As a verb, it defines cop as to catch, nab, or to steal, filch, or to buy narcotics. To understand why the word cop is used to describe the lowest pawns of the government, you will need to find and study the hidden meanings of the word cop. Furthermore, you need to know the difference between the words lawful and legal. I will go into more details about the difference between those two words in the next chapter. For now, the important information you need to know about the words lawful and legal is that lawful is more about your natural rights, your God-given rights, and legal is more about the rights given to you by man or the government. Because the word lawful is related to natural rights, anything that is lawful is above anything that is legal. For example, when cops pull you over for speeding and give you a speeding ticket, they are operating under legal status and not lawful status. In other words, they are unlawfully giving you a ticket. The reason why it is unlawful for cops to give you a speeding ticket is because it violates your natural right to travel. However, if you have a driver's license and or your vehicle is registered to the government, cops can pull you over for speeding without having to worry too much about violating your natural rights. Your driver's license or license plate is evidence that you have a contract with the government, and therefore it puts you under the jurisdiction of the government and their agents and its agents. Your right to travel is protected by natural law, a body of spiritual laws. It is a natural right given inherently to you by the Supreme Creator. Because of this, no human being, government agent, or government agency can lawfully tell you to stop traveling or how to travel without your consent. If they were to force you to stop traveling without your consent, they would be in direct violation of natural law. To overcome the problem of violating your natural right to travel, the dark forces invented the driver's license, which is a contract designed to trick you to give them your consent. When you sign your name on the driver's license contract, you agree to allow the government and its agents to have jurisdiction over you while you drive a vehicle. This is why cops are trained to always ask for your driver's license. As soon as you give them your driver's license, they have the legal right to give you a ticket unless you do not violate any traffic laws. Once you know cops are in violation of your natural rights whenever they force you to do anything without your consent, you should know that the hidden meaning of the word cop is a government agent whose main role is to catch people and steal their money using unlawful citations. The more citations cops give out, the more money their employer, the government, can collect. Do you remember what I said earlier about the definition of the word cop? As a verb, the word cop is defined as to catch, nab, or to steal, filch, or to buy narcotics. This definition of the word cops describes pretty accurate what many cops are doing to us these days. The process of using unlawful citations to steal our money is not only practiced by cops. Many government agents, such as IRS agents, whether they realize it or not, are using unlawful citations to steal our money to finance systems of the New World Order. By now, you should be aware that the government is an artificial person. For this reason, the government cannot directly deal with the living man. To overcome this problem, the people in control of the government, which are the dark magicians of the NWO, created another artificial person. This artificial person is known as the legal name, which is the name on your birth certificate, driver's license, etc. To rule our minds and control us, the dark magicians use the government to trick us to consent to play the legal name game. By participating in this legal name game, we unknowingly agree to be a corporation or an artificial person. This allows the government to do business with us and have jurisdiction over us. Furthermore, the legal name game makes it easier for the government to enslave us in the matrix of the dark forces. Do you understand now why the word government means to rule the mind? There is a spiritual side to the Earth Matrix drama, so if you do not know who you really are and how to exercise your natural rights, you will have a very hard time freeing yourself from the matrix of the dark forces. Another essential thing you need to know is the power of natural law, a group of spiritual laws that govern the dynamics of the universe. One of the most important natural laws is the law of free will. And that is the end of Chapter 2. Chapter 3 will be out tomorrow. Thanks for watching. I'm going to do a discussion on Twitch later. I will link my Twitch in the comments or description.